Hi, everyone. Welcome to this afternoon's event with Brookline Booksmith featuring J.R. Ward for her book, Unveiled, and Gena Showalter for her book, The Warlord. Love it.
Get it, Gena.
I can do it. I can do it. My name is Bree. I'm the Assistant Events Director at Brookline Booksmith in Brookline, Mass. If you're familiar with our store, welcome back. If this is your first time hearing about us, welcome. We're very happy to have all of you join our community this evening. And we appreciate your support of the authors in the independent bookstore through your purchases and attendance. The chat and question box are open, so feel free to make use of those. We'll be returning to the Q&A in about half an hour. So please make sure that you put your Q&A in the Q&A box and not in the chat. I have a feeling chat's going to move pretty quickly. And set your chat to all panelists and attendees so that you can talk to other people in the audience. Please do note that Brookline Booksmith has a strict policy against abusive behavior and language, and at our discretion, any attendee can be removed from an event for partaking in such behavior. And what an honor it is to have these two authors with us today. I've been looking forward to this for over a month, and I'm sure everyone here has been too. J.R. Ward is the lovingly foul-mouthed author of more than 30 books. She made me say that.
What happens if I get booted from this for dropping the F-bomb?
Including those in her #1 New York Times bestselling Black Dagger Brotherhood series. There are more than 15 million copies of her novels in print worldwide, and they've been published in 26 different countries. In Unveiled, the Black Dagger Brotherhood series returns with Savage, a powerful MMA fighter with a buried secret that can change the world of Cadwell forever. Gena Showalter and her lovely 7 Dogs and Thor is the New York Times bestselling author of sizzling paranormal romances. In The Warlord, we rejoin fan favorite character from her beloved Lords of the Underworld series, Talia Skyhawk. The Ice Maiden faces off with her greatest enemy, a villain brutal beyond imagination. It is such a pleasure to have both of them here with us today. Please join me in welcoming J.R. Ward and Gena Showalter.
Yay! And Bree, we just want to thank you so much for having us, and we want to urge everyone to shop local when you can. And we're thrilled to be hosted by an independent bookseller because we
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. This is such an honor, and I'm just so thrilled to do it with you, especially.
Yay! Well, Gena and I we've known each other for pretty much ever.
Yes.
You know, and we're both dog moms.
Yes.
Like totally confirmed dog moms. Although you are more dog momish than I have a timeshare on 4 and 1 of my own, and you actually have 7 who live with you.
Yes. And not only that, but my son lives close and he has quite a few, and my mother-in-law lives close and she has a couple. So we're just, we got some animals.
That's a wonderful thing. Well, I was so glad they said, you know, when we set this up, they were like, oh, you know, would you like to do it with anyone? And I was like, well, the question is whether anyone wants to do it with me. And then I saw that you have the Warlord out, and I was like, oh my God, Gena Showalter is like one of my favorite bags of carbon-based molecules. Like, I love her so much. And so like, this is a new series, right?
Yes, it's a spin-off from Lords of the Underworld. So it's called Rise of the Warlords, and where I'm bringing in a new mythology and new characters, stronger, more powerful warriors. So I have loved writing these books.
So do you like, so that's one of the issues that I have with the Black Dagger Brotherhood world, is it's so big that, like, that's what she said. It's so big that there are so many different places that I can't go in the big books. And, you know, Lover Unveiled, which is what we're here talking about, is kind of a transitional book where I had to get a lot of stuff off the ground. And like every 3 or 4 books, you get a transitional book that like kind of has to feed like the rest of them. Do you find that when you're doing your own world building in your own books that you're constantly trying to figure out where to train that aperture? And maybe the Warlord in the new series is just a way of kind of like what I did with the prison camp, where you're like isolating a section of the world so you can really explore it in ways you couldn't in the main book.
Exactly, because in the Lords of the Underworld, and the cast of characters was just becoming so vast, and people wanted something from, and you can't include all of them in the same book.
That's exactly
and I had to run out of the demon-possessed warriors, so it made no sense to keep publishing under the Lords of the Underworld umbrella. So, and I wanted to explore a whole new realm that I had never opened up in the other books. And that was by Harpina with the Harpy Warriors, my fierce female warriors by like Amazons, you know.
Yeah.
So, and I got to play in their world. Oh my gosh, I love that. But yeah, nice to focus in on them.
Yeah. And so like, so this is going to be like once, like, so this is like, is this now like the tent pole release every year, this series? Or is this like, because you like me, you multi-publish a lot of different stuff.
Yeah. So I want to do one a year of these. And then I'm also launching another series in a couple of months called Heartless Immortal Enemies. And it's set in the world of the Fae. I've got my gamer heroine who needs a heart transplant. And she starts to become this really wicked, cool Fae princess. But she's actually a secret villain. And the hero is a full-on villain. And I had so much fun writing him. I let myself really have some fun. They are villains to the max.
I love it because that's like, so Davina, who was the demon out of the Fallen Angel series, is now the big bad one in the BDB series. And I love her. She's horrible. She's a fucking nightmare. Okay.
Isn't that wonderful though to write?
But she's so like, and I watch it because like I just have, I'm not real smart, and so I have these pictures in my head, and I just like transcribe what the pictures tell me, you know.
Yes.
And I see some of the shit she pulls, and I love to hate her.
Yes.
Because she's got these like weird like kind of vulnerability stuff.
Yes.
And meanwhile, she's a total fucking psychopath, you know.
Yes, there's something about watching them just not care at all about what they're doing or causing, because they have a goal to meet. It's so fun to write.
Do you ever like, so back a million years ago, 1.5 million years ago, I used to worry I'd run out of stories. Do you ever worry, like, because I can remember Lover Revealed, I started to get nervous. The only time I'd ever had writer's block in my life. And it was because the pictures were coming in my head, and I decided, because I was so smart and the books were getting so long, that I would trim. I was like, oh, this is great. I'm going to consolidate all this. And I started messing with the pictures and like cutting things down, and everything shut up for like 2 weeks straight. Never been so scared in my life.
Yeah.
And so then ever since then, I've been like, I'm not messing around. Like whatever, wherever the stories go, for better or for worse, I'll throw them in. And I remember being so scared about those 2 weeks until I basically gave up and just did what the book wanted to do.
Yes.
I worried that I would run out of pictures, but I don't worry about that anymore. Do you ever worry?
I don't know, because I think too many times I've been like, I've gotten up to a part in a story and been like, crap, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
But with a couple of hours or just running scenarios in my head, there's the answer. And so it's happened so many times, I just don't doubt it anymore. There's whatever the problem, there is always a solution, and there's always an idea to get you out of it.
How many books have you written?
Oh my gosh, so many.
Like, I think I'm like 35 now, and like but I don't think I think you've written even more than that.
Yeah, I think, and I could be off, but I think I've written around 80 or published.
Holy fuck! How long have you been in this business? And is there a Dorian Gray like you in a closet who's like 150 years old? Like,
I love that and hope so. I was first published in 2004. That was when my first one came out, and there were several years that I would release like 4 or 5, and I think there was even once I released 6 books.
How do you handle like doing that many books in a single year? Because like I'm tapped out at 3. Like I do my 2 tentpoles, which is the big BDB book in the spring, and then the secondary BDB series in the fall, and then I've been doing like either a Christmas book, or I've been doing with the Woven books that are going to start this summer. But so how do you handle, like, because I work 7 days a week, but goddamn, I haven't done 80 books.
Yeah, no, well, I haven't written that many in a while. It's been about 3 stories a year for a while now. So yeah, so it's been taking me, I think, about 3 months now to get the rough draft, read over it, fix it, and then turn it in. And then, but I'll tell you, the Warlord, man, it was from the second half on was a complete rewrite after I turned it in. It was because I had really missed the boat with it. So
is it okay for me to ask, like, how you?
Of course. Yeah. What the problem? It had way too much sex, and I know that that's not really a problem, but it really was, because it was way too much, and it didn't have enough action. So to sustain.
Well, it had action, but it didn't have.
Yes, but not another time. So I had to, and then I made it just this slight tweak on the hero's personality, and it changed everything in the later half. So
I'm fascinated because, again, I suck. Like, I just write the pictures in my head, and like, so I'm like dreadful. I'm the worst writer. Like, when people ask me craft problems, like, oh, how do you do? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like, I just type.
Yes, yeah. That's why I hesitate to do workshops, how-to workshops, because I just write it.
Yeah.
I'll brainstorm a lot, and running scenarios is one of my favorite things to do. I just sit there and picture the people that I want, that are going to be in the scene, saying different things to each other, trying different things, seeing what is best and most exciting to me, and what's going to lead to the next scene and the next.
So my mentor, Sue Grafton, she used to do this. What she would do is, when she would get to a corner where she couldn't see around the corner, she would actually write out, like, what are the logical things that could happen at this point, and then she would pick the most dramatic.
Yes.
I feel like this is what I feel like I need to take a creative writing class, because I.
Well, when I was writing Heartless, I thought, I'm writing these. I want them to be villains, hero villains, and and I hadn't really gone there all the way yet. And so I thought, while I'm writing this, when I have an instinct to go one way, I'm going to go the other, and let's just see where it takes me. I had the best time with this book.
So what did you tweak for the hero for?
He was so unlikable. Like, there was no, he had no vulnerability, no crack in that, even when he met the heroine. And I wanted him to have something different with her, for his interactions with her to really stand out and start to make a difference in his mind. So I softened him up and gave him some vulnerabilities in the beginning, and that totally wiped out what happened in the second half.
Really?
Yes.
So cool. This is so, I love talking to other writers. This is one of the things that I do say when people ask me about this writing stuff, is it's like exercise. The best exercise for someone is the exercise that they will do on a regular basis. There are no right answers for like what, and I think that that's like one of the things Sue Grafton always used to say when people would say, well, how do you write? Is she said, there are a million choices, from where you put punctuation to what words you choose to whether, what point of view you're in, to actually tell someone how to write. It's almost like you have to have your own true north.
Your
own way of doing it. And I think for everyone, the only thing that I have found to be true about actually, I don't have a lot of friends, because I don't leave the house, but it's true. I have my biffle. My biffle is my friend, but she comes to my house. The only thing that I know is true for the writers that I know is all of us write every day.
Yes.
Like, pretty much every day.
Yeah.
And because I really don't know what else I would do with myself, frankly.
Yeah. There's always been a story brewing in my head. Yeah. And even when I'm writing a book about one story, when I finish with it for the day, and after I figured out what else I'm going to do the next day, here comes another one.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I was, I have this like super secret passion project that I've been writing for 2 years, and Simon & Schuster just bought it, and I'm really excited. And it's not a PR war book. It's not a paranormal. It's like something that's just like totally different. But this book wouldn't leave me alone. Okay. Yeah. So I was like, fine, fuck it. So I started to get up 2 hours earlier every day, and I wrote for 2 hours every day. And before I wrote for the rest of the day, because the story had to get out.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I have those too. I think those actually have a little something extra in them. There's just Yeah,
Yeah.
the passion in them. Although, okay, I gotta pause for a minute to say, we're getting dozens of messages of readers freaking out because they need the link for the event.
Yeah, Naomi just hit me up. A lot of people have just got the link.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, welcome
Welcome.
to our webinar. We've just been shooting shit about writer crap.
They just got it. They just got it. I'm sorry for the ding. It's coming dinging from my computer, and I can't turn it off without silencing the.
It's like, what was I saying? Like, every time I do one of these, it's like the first time I've ever done it. Like, it's a technological miracle that we can ever get
this
on.
makes sense. All of a sudden, the chat.
Well, because I noticed that we
chat
weren't
is going ding 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 ding.
Yeah, I was noticing that we weren't getting chats. I was like, oh no, maybe no one will show up. It's like convening a birthday party and like no one comes. Oh, good. Yay. All right. Well, then everyone has the link and that's wonderful. All right, good. So everyone's here. So we're going to welcome, we just covered the Warlord and how the second half, she changed a lot and she made the hero more vulnerable.
Yes.
And slightly more
Nobody
vulnerable.
freaked out. It's recorded. Everybody.
And this
will
is
get a
recorded.
chance.
Everyone will get a chance.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And she writes 7 days a week. I write 7 days a week. She has 7 dogs. I have 1 dog, but a timeshare on 4 others. I'm here with my biffle. I have no friends. I drop the F-bomb a lot. And I'm clearly a fucking slacker because I started publishing in 2001 and I've written like 35 books. And she started in 2004 and has written 879.
Yeah. Well, probably 880.
And we love Gena and shop local. And we're so glad that the Brookline Booksmith. And they warned everyone. They were like, okay, if we will not tolerate abusive behavior. We will boot your ass if you whatever. And then I was like, oh my God, what happens if they boot me for dropping the F-bomb? Because every time I do one of these, I start out and I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. And it never laps.
Yeah. No, I get I will have been nervous all day, but then the camera starts rolling and I start talking to you and I'm like, oh, let me tell you everything that's happened.
Well, I mean, Gena Showalter is one of my favorite people ever because so I'm gonna get a little preachy now. I believe that a rising tide lifts all boats.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Totally believe in supporting authors, particularly female authors and authors of color anywhere I can, because like Jennifer Armentrout is kicking everyone's ass. Her book came out this year.
I know, how amazing is that?
I mean, Jen Armentrout
killing it.
She is killing it. If you like fantasy and romance, hey, little girl. If you like fantasy and romance, you have to check out Jennifer Armentrout's release. And I get the names confused. What's her, is it The Crown of Gilded Thrones?
It's right there.
Is it, oh, no, it is. No,
it's right. No, yes,
it is.
It's
Where?
right here.
Oh, it is. Oh, wait, I have the book.
Ta-da!
This is the book. So yeah, I was right. The Crown of Gilded Bones out on Tuesday, just like Gena and I are. And Gena Showalter, the Warlord, as everyone knows, because you had to buy our books to get in here. But I love to support other writers, and I know you're the same. And we have just such a really great community, I think.
Yes. One of the most supportive people.
Yeah, and the readers are so wonderful and so
yes.
lovely. And so the other question that I want to ask you is, and I know this is like, it's kind of like a softball question, but it's also something I'm really curious about. Of all the books that you've written, all 80 of them, like, is there one particular book that really is like in your, like, because you know how they talk about like write the book of your heart kind of thing? Do you
yes.
any one of those that or a couple of them that really stand out for you?
Well, yeah, when I wrote Alice in Zombieland, it's
my favorite, one of my favorite series ever.
Oh my God.
Yes,
that was fucking brilliant. I totally agree.
Thank you. So I wrote that book and I had the title first. In fact, I was talking to Cressley Cole and she said, well, what are you going to be writing next? And just as a joke, I said, oh, Alice in Zombieland. And she said, you've got to write that book. So I did, and but then I got really sick, and I had time to really think about the story, and so I completely rewrote it with the spirit type zombies versus the flesh eaters, and it just kind of poured out, and I was just so in love with those characters, with the situation, with all of it. I had the best time.
And it's the best. Also, I love that title. I remember, I can picture the cover
So
actually
good.
when it came out. I was like, oh my God, she's so fucking smart.
And I love me some Cole.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna let my inner cougar come out and make
If anybody has not read that series, get on it.
Yeah.
Thank you. What about you? What's the books that you have out now? Is there one that stands out the most?
So it would be Lover Awakened for me because
Mhm.
it is like, he's the best hero for me that I ever wrote. But
I absolutely adore that book.
well,
and that man.
it was great. I had gotten fired from my first publisher. Okay. So I wrote 4 standalones for Valentine, and they were right to fire me because, you know, the books were critically well received, very well received,
Mhm.
but they were not selling because, you know, if Nora Roberts is writing Nora Roberts books, you don't need to be writing a Nora Roberts book.
Right.
Nora Roberts, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I got fired, and I had to figure out. My agent at the time said something that I think for writers is like really mission critical. It's like she was like, you need to decide who you are as a writer and what you're really going to write. And
Yeah.
so like I didn't know what to do, and I was staring into space, and all of a sudden the brothers showed up,
Mhm.
and I suddenly had 10 books, and Zadist was supposed to be the 10th book.
Uh-huh.
He was supposed to go like through, and there were like, I only got to 10 books, and then as soon as I started writing them, like more books came.
Yeah.
But you know, I was so stung by the fact that these books were really out there. I was like, Dark Lover's never gonna sell. I was like, at the mating ceremony, he gets his, the shell and his name in his back and everything. I was like, no one's ever gonna read this.
I remember when it first came, there was a J.R. Ward frenzy, and I was part of it, just drooling at the mouth for more, foaming at the mouth.
Well, and I was so grateful for that, but I was ready to get fired. So I bumped him up. So I had a 3-book contract, right?
Uh-huh.
And I figured, I'm going to get fired. This is never going to work. So I bumped him up to the 3rd book because I knew if I did not get a chance to write that book,
Mhm.
I would regret it for the rest of my life. And so that is my number one. That's my number. And the worst book, the worst motherfucker was Vicious. Lover Unbound.
Really?
Was the single most miserable writing experience I've ever had. Because
See, I love that one too. I'm great. I like your misery. Be miserable more because I really like it.
For you and your dogs, I'll be miserable. But I was like, Jesus, Mary and Grace. First of all, he hates me. Okay. Like all the brothers, like the brothers, when they appear in my head and stuff and they do shit, like whatever, but he never wants to talk to me. He's Rick. And then she tells me that I am vicious. I mean, I'm just saying.
I really like that.
Well, I mean, and so that was the worst because he wouldn't show me what's really good. Like I couldn't, I mean.
So it was like pulling teeth every time you had to come up with a word or a sentence.
It absolutely was. And the other worst experience was Lover at Last, because not because Blaine Quinn were not allowing themselves to be written, but because my computer exploded halfway through and I missed like 6 weeks before the manuscript's done, like 450 pages disappear. And I hadn't saved it on one of those goddamn USB.
No, I know that pain. I know that pain well. Did you have to rewrite it or were you able to recover?
No, I had 6 weeks. I ain't rewriting shit. I called the IT guy that my husband used for his business. And I'm like, I need a forensic specialist. So no shit. It cost me like 15 grand to do this, but they flew a Marine guy in,
wow,
government. But he like actually took, I was like, I've just got to keep writing it from page 451, right? Yeah. And he goes, if you give me 3 weeks, I will get everything off of this. And sure enough, for 15 grand, he was able to save the document and put it in a format so that I could actually get it into Word. I crapped my pants on that one. But again, that was like mechanical user error versus.
Yeah. No, I've done that. When I spent, it was almost 24 hours at the computer, such a tight deadline for an edit. And I'm exhausted. Yeah. And at the very end, and it saved nothing. God, that's just that. It saved nothing. And I knew, and I basically had a breakdown at that point
What
because
did you do? Like, what did you get an extension on the deadline?
I got back on the computer, yes, and I need a couple more days, guys. All I could do was cry and keep going.
Yeah. No, I did that once. I was it was during one of the Jessica Bird books. It was like my last Jessica Bird book, and that was back 850 million years ago when you did everything by hand.
Yes, I remember that.
And so I, for some reason, and I don't know why, forgot that that's the way it was supposed to be done. So I made the changes just to the manuscript. I don't know how I messed it up, but I sent it in. They were like, where's the copy edits? And I had to go through and copy every single thing that I'd done. And I said, give me 48 hours. I'm just going to sit here and do it, you know? And they were so lovely about it, but you know, mistakes happen and you suck it up and get it done, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Do you find you do heavier edits or lighter edits after a revision? When
So
the copy edits and stuff
I'm a
come in?
living, breathing nightmare for production. Okay.
Oh,
Like,
separated at birth.
I mean, as if the rescued dogs wouldn't get away. We are clear the salt and pepper shakers of Romance Landia.
Production has gotten so many emails. Here's my 20-page document of top changes I want you to make immediately.
Oh my God. So I basically add in copy edit. So the copy of the manuscript comes back. I add about 15,000 words.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, good. This is good. And then when first pass comes back, I mean, I hand write it in, and I'm like, I every single word, everything, single page. And one of the things, like, I have a research assistant, because when you have like 19 books in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, hi Archibald, this is the Archibald. Did the Archibald.
Hi, baby.
Oh, we're going under. We're going under. Okay, there we go.
No, Arch.
Oh my gosh, look at that happy face.
There
we go.
Hello. Sorry about the leg. But anyway, so I you know, my research assistant, keeping 19 books that are as big as the BDB books straight is like kind of tough. And you know, we make a lot of our continuity, and we never, every single book there is a mistake we make. There's something and I always feel so badly about it.
But there's not a mistake that anyone misses.
But and the readers are right to call me out on it, and it frustrates he and I terribly.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I have messed up eye color, hair color, all of that stuff.
Yep, it's just you do the best you can. Do we want to take some questions now that we got, you know?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see. Let me get to my questions.
My assistant is gonna moderate this.
Okay. First of all, this little Q&A thing that Zoom has is pretty sweet.
Really? Yeah. If you want to submit questions, just do them in the Q&A.
Do them in the Q&A section. Okay, from Alina Wright for both of you.
Okay.
Are there going to be movies?
Oh, Gena.
I would love that, and I believe one day it is going to happen. Right now, I've had movement on Alice in Zombieland, but
that should totally be on the fucking Netflix.
He's an executive producer of American Gods.
Oh
my
wow.
God. I just got a little tear. I'm so, my God.
I know, it's super
we
exciting.
need to do some fucking watch parties for that shit. Like, if that gets on, like, oh my God, that would be amazing.
Yes, I'm coming over. We're doing popcorn.
Can I just tell you, I think also, from what I understand of those books, that would really translate well. Translate very well.
I want to see the 3D of the spirits coming out of their bodies to do the fighting.
Yeah.
Yes, God, so good. So good.
Thank you.
What about for you?
Yes, what about you?
Sorry, that would be for me. You know, I too would love, with the right producing partner and the right situation, absolutely. You know, it would have to be the right situation, because the brothers are an ongoing series, and like, I would want to make sure that it was handled, you know, but you know, if the right situation came along and it was the right hand and the right show runner, I would absolutely do it.
Oh my gosh, yes, and I would be all over that.
Yes. Question for J.R. Ward. Can you give us a clue about Raven? Is she a deity?
Okay, so Raven is someone who shows up in Lover Unveiled. but we're not going to do spoilers. Are we doing spoilers?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, I would say that's a big old fat keep reading. But she's going to play a pretty prominent role in the future. Oh, look at the dog.
Now who is this one? Who is this one?
This is Peanut, the Thor,
Peanut.
and Boots is over here.
Look at the baby.
So Kaylin Victory, question for both of you. How do you make yourself write? I have a lot of story in my head, but can't make myself sit down.
Gina, do you want to take a
Sure, I'm happy to. I remind myself that I have bills to pay, and if I don't write, and by then, at that point, I'm super excited to sit down and get started on my day.
That's the best answer.
That's totally honest. I think for me, I have to write. So I feel like I'm going to fail in answering this question. Like I fail on all craft questions. I have to get these stories out of my head. And it gets jammed up in there, and so I wrote my first story when I was 7 years old, and it's just something I'm hardwired to do. But stepping away from that, I mean, obviously Gina and I are not professional, but this is what we do to make our living, so it is a little bit different. One of the things that I would encourage you, if you're looking for a way to structure your writing time, I would say treat it like an exercise class. Set aside 1 hour, 3 days a week, and make that your writing time. And it takes about 2 weeks for any habit to really start to build. And if you do it for 4 weeks, you're usually kind of in the groove. So find a designated place, a designated time, set a timer, and make it a very structured, conscious choice. And even if you just sit down and you don't, necessarily type, maybe you're outlining, maybe you're storyboarding, maybe you're putting ideas on cards, but start to train that muscle to show up for 60 minutes, three times a week, and then build from there. But I when I talk to people who have a lot of ideas but don't know how to and which I get, I mean, trust me, like everyone's really super busy, everyone has different responsibilities and everything, but I would really advocate treat it like an exercise class and do it for you. Don't
Oh my gosh, yes. Do it for you. Absolutely right. And it doesn't have to be perfect this first time. I think a lot of people get caught up on it's not good enough while they're this first draft, and so they get discouraged. But I go over my drafts multiple times and adding and changing and trying, and so it doesn't have to be perfect.
And the other thing is I encourage people who are just starting out to develop a writing practice. I would also just encourage you to own that space. You don't have to be published to be a writer. You don't actually have to have anyone read your shit other than you to be a writer. If you have ideas and you put them on the page, you are a writer. So I would encourage you to own that space, value that space, and make it an important part of, because obviously if you have these stories in your head, it's integral to who you are. So just as you would make time to take care of your children or your job or your husband or your dogs, make time to take care of you by doing that. So that's what I got. Sorry, I don't mean to
really like that.
I don't mean to get preachy.
No, I like that. That's good stuff.
So this is actually a great question from Jenny. Calm. Everyone has had a hell of a 2020. How, if at all, has the pandemic impacted your creative process?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I'll be real honest. Lover Unveiled was a tough book to write. And usually I've got some lighthearted parts, in my books and stuff. And there are not as many lighthearted parts. My mother had a stroke back in September, and she moved in so that I could take care of her and be her caregiver. So I wrote this book in the middle of the pandemic, helping my mom feed herself. She couldn't walk, she couldn't feed herself. She had a lot of cognitive changes, and thank God she's come out of it. But I really, the tone of the book is darker than it usually would be. And so I feel like the pandemic we were very disciplined in this household. Like, we didn't go anywhere. We just hunkered down and didn't have any, we had a pod with my mom and my biffle. But other than the 5 of us, that's the only people we had contact with for an entire year. And we didn't fuck around with it. So it didn't actually change my life a lot because I actually don't leave the house a lot in that regard. But I think it was really hard to be joyful and happy. So the tone got darker. How about you, Gena?
I found my tone got a little lighter.
Really?
I know that I'm writing darker characters, but they had a lighter banter, a sexual banter, and a playfulness that I think I think it was my way of dealing with everything. Like a wonderful safe space for me to kind of retreat into my head of this fun interaction between these 2 people who want to kill each other.
Well, I spoke to like the 2 close friends of mine who are writers, and we'd go through, particularly in the beginning of the pandemic, like you'd go through these freakouts, like, oh my God, what if someone gets sick? Oh my God, I have a head cold. Do I have it? Getting tested, or the whole thing. And then there'd be, then everything would be kind of like simmer down at this low level anxiety. And then there'd be like another spike, like, oh my God, someone we know just died from it. And then it would go back down again. And then it would be like, oh my God, what if they never have a vaccine, down. And so kind of navigating those spikes of anxiety interspersed with this low level kindling nervousness. It was a lot, but it was a lot for everyone, you know, particularly. And the other thing that I thought of was how lucky was I that we had frontline workers and essential workers and people at Amazon that were shipping out medical supplies, and nurses and doctors and pharmacists and orderlies and people working in hospitals and on the front lines and ambulance people. How grateful was I for those people taking care of the rest of us?
Yes, that is so true.
So,
real quick, want to break in. Michelle is telling me that if we would like to go a little bit over the hour,
we should.
Since people.
Yeah, let's go. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely happy to. Yes.
Great.
Okay. Gena, a question from you from Denise Van Leeuwen. When are Talia and Rock gonna have a baby?
I'm not sure. I imagine them as parents, and they're not quite there yet. But maybe in a later book. Perfect.
Lots of people asking in regards to Lassiter when it's
Hey!
Is he gonna have a book?
So
when is he gonna
Lassiter will absolutely have a book, and I don't know. I wanted to say 2 or 3 books from now is when he's gonna take a little bit. So I would say 2 or 3 books from now, but he's definitely getting a book. And as I was telling people at the Facebook Live, so I pitched this, like, I love my publisher. Okay. I worship the women I work for because they're just amazing. What the fuck? No, I don't want to.
Okay.
Okay. Remind me later. Kiss my ass, Adobe. I don't want to get my update now. Sorry. Had a moment. Just had a moment. I just hate technology. Like everything notifying you, binging you.
Yes.
Without technology, we wouldn't be able to be here with these lovely people.
I know, but I hate technology. So we're like talking, right? All of a sudden, this giant screen, Adobe, update now. And I was like, fuck off. Because it would only ever happen now. Sorry, what was the question?
Lassiter.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So I'm on this like big important call with like everyone at Gallery and Simon & Schuster who are like amazing. And I'm behaving like an idiot as usual. And I was like, listen, Lassiter. I was like, picture normal BDB cover, right? And all it's going to say is Lassiter. There's going to be no lover involved. It's just going to say Lassiter. And then like normal kind of like dark, atmospheric, daggery book. And then on the other side, I was like, I want the same cover, but I want it in pink and black zebra prints with a like fuzzy black zebra print and everything with a silver laminate thing. And my boss goes, yes, we're in. I was like, I love being a Gallery girl because they totally Yes, he's absolutely going to get it. And they promised me they're going to do this crazy, stupid cover, which I'd be so excited.
I love that.
I want to be able to like
it.
have it be like petable, you know, like for
Uh-huh. I love your pitch for it too. My my pitch for the Warlord was War of the Roses with immortals and a happy ending.
I always, when I talk to people about, oh, so you write, you know, the Black Dagger Brother, what is it like? I'm like, it's Deadpool meets Dracula.
Oh, nice. Yes, I like that.
Gina Singleton asked, I love how down to earth you ladies are, especially you, JR. To you,
yeah, I know, right? I'm the corker in the group.
To you both, do you or have you already decided how your series are going to end, your main series?
What do you think, Gina?
You know, I haven't. And really, when I sat down to start the Warlord, because it's the first in the new series, I only had the idea for it, and as I was writing it, I got to know some of the warriors and the world, and from there, after I finished it, then I had an idea for the next one.
Yeah. I have always said that the Black Dagger Brotherhood will go on forever as long as the good Lord keeps me healthy and people want to read the books. But I did think to myself for the first time, because I'm officially 52 million years old now. I was like, holy fuck. I'm like, am I really going to be 96 years old and writing these books? I was like, something, it has to come to an end at some point. You know, I'm talking like 15 or 16 years from now. I don't know. What I would like to write 5 books that have to do with the children of the original 6 brothers.
Yes.
And I can't decide whether I want to write those books and just keep going with the Brotherhood and do those like as the secondary series for like 5 years. But then like, how would that work? Because you'd have to jump like 50 years in the future, and like and my research assistant's head is like going to explode, because he's like, what if you fuck yourself? He's like, you're going to do something. There are a couple of, in the timeline of the BDB books, we're actually only 2.5 years like into what the timeline, if you go for like the absolute series timeline, you know, so it's actually 2007.5 right now. He's like, you're going to end up doing something that boxes you in, you know, whatever. So maybe what I would do is just write the BDB books and then just say, all right, last 5, last count, going 50 years in the future. So I don't really know. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever way you go, I just want to throw my vote in that, yes, absolutely write these books. I'm insisting on it.
Oh, I love that. Gina's the best.
Shantae Harris has a great question. Is there anything that either of you regret writing about and wish you could change or take back?
You know, anytime I go to, in the past with the Lords of the Underworld, I would go to write the next warrior and I'd be like, crap, I've written scenes from this person's point of view. They've gone through some stuff and I can't veer from that, even though I have this really great idea for them right now.
Yeah.
So anytime that I've gotten boxed in like that, I have regretted that I did that in the book, that I went that route, and then I can't go this route. So now I tell as little as possible about the others to give myself room to play.
That makes total sense. Have I ever regretted? There's only one thing that I really regret. And I can't say what it is, unfortunately. But yeah, I do. I have one book that I regret, and it just was where it was in the nation at the time, and the market was what it was, and I couldn't do what I really wanted to do at that time. That being said, you know, I was able to do what I wanted to do with Quinn and Blay.
Yes, that was a great story.
And, you know, I remember when I pitched that to New York, and bear in mind, that was 10 years ago when the country was very, very different. And, you know, I had to talk to my editor for about 1.5 years. And I said, I want to write this book. And I want to write this book not to be political, but because it's a love story, and it is the love story that's happening in the world.
Yeah.
And it is, and I can totally, and this is not a criticism of my editor or my publisher at the time. It was a different world. It,
Yes.
it was very untried for new, a traditional publisher to have a gay couple. And, the fact that the market embraced that book, the extent to which it did, I mean, it's one of the best-selling books of the entire series. And it was #1 on the Times list across the board. I mean, it was just a huge thing. And I remember being so happy, and I get proud of the readers for just being like, fuck yeah, this is a really good fucking story,
Yes, I so enjoyed that book.
And I always felt like I was always just so grateful that my publisher, I don't know whether I just wore them down or they just saw how popular the couple was. But I was really proud of them for making that choice.
Yes.
Like, yep, we're going to do it. And I'm really, that was probably one of the best things that ever happened in my career. So
yeah. Oh, I love that you wrote that book. It's one of my favorites too.
Gena from Sierra Stoner, will there be books for Maddox and Ashlyn's kids?
Yeah, like, Jess said, I would love to do that with their kids, because I to see these people who I put them together and how they are as parents would be hysterical. And then to put them through such torture over their children.
The nicest person ever, and the soft spot with the fucking 800 dogs, and like all this stuff. The fact that like you're like, yes, it reminds me of Sue Grafton, who was my mentor, and like she looked like a nice little grandmother. She had these wonderful barrel curls, this like little, and she had this beautiful little Southern accent, and she was this tiny little bird of a woman. She was like 2 pounds, little short woman. And she would look at me every once in a while and go, the hardest thing about murder is, where do you get rid of the body? And I'm like, oh my God.
I know the answer.
Like, oh God.
I love that. I also know how to hide the body.
Yeah. I just light it on fire myself, which is why I love being in the Brockdagger Brotherhood.
I had to research that for Heartless. How would a person hide a body?
By the way, I have my research assistant, like whenever he goes and like checks everything for like the copyrighted manuscripts and all this stuff, he's always like, I'm so glad no one's coming to my door and checking my Google search things. There's some fucked up shit on this stuff. I love it.
Oh, I know.
This has been a question from several people. Basically, how do you keep all of your storylines, events, characters in order in your universe?
Sometimes I'll reread the books in the past, or just the scenes I need that have the people. But a lot of times I'll come to something and be like, crap, what does this person look like? What's their personality? So I just go back and find it and then move on from there.
I think for me, here, you want to come up? Here we go. Hi, baby girl. Here we go, girl. So I think that like, for me, it's like living in a town. And just like I, in my own town, like know people and neighbors and know the backstories and people's kids and their grandparents and their parents and the salacious and non-salacious things that happen, it's sort of no different than keeping up with friends and family. I do make mistakes, absolutely. And that's why I have a research assistant who's much better. But we fuck things up. We get things wrong.
Yeah.
I have one song that was like, the timeline of the Blackdagger Brotherhood is like a Rorschach test. It is a fucking nightmare. Okay. And so like we've had to like, and I can remember the book started coming out in September of 2005. And they were coming out every 6 months because we wanted to build some momentum in the marketplace. So they started coming out every 6 months. And then they were only moving forward like by a couple of months in the absolute timeline.
Yes.
But I put a song from 2008 in like the book that came out in 2008, except by the timeline, it was actually just before 2006. And my research assistant's head like vibrates every time he thinks of that. And he's like, that's when you began to screw it up. So we do the best we can,
I refer to it as this like palace. I heard this off of a show, The Mentalist, and he called it his memory palace. And he would go and it had all of the rooms.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, yeah, and actually, so like when I go between different, like, you know, when I was writing the Bourbon Kings or the Fallen Angels, or like, you know, you're right. It's like train tracks. It's like different rooms. It's like different. Yeah.
But the little details, those are what you can screw up on the eye color and the hair color, because you've got, you know, 1,000 characters in there.
Yeah, yeah.
This is another one for Gena, and I think it's a great question for the chat. She bought The Warlord, but she hasn't read any of your books yet. What can you tell her about the themes and what your books are about?
Warlord is an enemies to lovers story, and it deals with sacrifice. And let's see, my books tend to have the alpha heroes and quirky heroines who like to beat those alpha heroes up, like really drop them to their knees for real. And just
you're a hard ass, Gena. I love it. It's not just what you're saying. It's your tone of voice and your expression on your face when you're saying.
Well, you know, because I want to ask you what your favorite scene was to write in your book, and that got me to thinking, what was my favorite scene to write for The Warlord? So I was like, well, I really enjoyed writing the scene where the heroine shoots him in the face and he still has a heart
on. Oh my God. I'm getting that shit on a bumper sticker. Gena Showalter says, that, oh my God, Gena, you are a stitch. You are a goddamn stitch. Oh my God, that is so funny. You're sick.
I had so much fun. You know, Jill Monroe, she's my best friend, and she's an author too. And she says it's like Gena Showalter syndrome, where I will give somebody the most screwed up backstory, but I'm also going to stab him and remove a limb or two. You know?
You were lucky you write paranormal. You wrote fucking contemporary. That shit does not grow back, girlfriend. Like,
well,
you can't be
in Heartless, my favorite
people and shooting their fucking faces off downtown, you know.
I know. I love removing their body parts. In Heartless, he gets his tongue cut out, you know, just right there in the opening.
Did your mother do something strange to your Barbie? Did you have a brother who fucked up your Barbies?
I do have a brother and 2 sisters, but I beat them up all the time.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Take care of your fucking dogs. Is that like your existential payback for all the shit you do to?
You know what it is? You know what the dogs and cats are? My husband says it's the most extreme case of empty nest syndrome of anybody ever to live.
Oh my God, Gena, you are just like knocking me on my ass. Look, here's the thing. You see some dumbass blonde who's over 6 feet tall in stilettos wearing black sunglasses, you kind of know what the fuck you're dealing with, okay? But you got the pretty face and the sweet smile and the little fucking polka dots on your thing. I like you. I like you. I liked you when I thought you were sweet. Now I respect you because I know you're a hard ass. I'm just saying, that is so, the stuff you learned about people you know.
What is both of yours?
Oh my God, that is the funniest. He cut his tongue out. Wait, can I ask you a question? I just want to know, you know, because I'm a process person. Does the tongue grow back after you cut it out?
Well, okay, so his power is his voice. So he's able to hum, and as he hum, it starts to grow back. But his voice drives people utterly insane. I mean, he starts singing and everybody starts dropping and blood is pouring from their eyes and ears and nose. And they're just going insane over his voice.
Oh my God.
But the heroine loves it.
I'm going to drill down on this tongue thing. I'm in a tongue vortex right now. And poor Bree at the Brookline Booksmith is like, where are we? Yes, we're going down the tongue hole. God, that sounds so dirty. So you cut it off and he sings to grow it back. Does it like Gene Simmons out of his mouth? Does he keep singing? Like, how is there a terminal kind of tongue thing here? I mean,
It grows back perfectly normal.
You are a golly. I really
Although
like you.
I did write somebody, I maybe can't say this. They had a penis.
Girlfriend, you talked about shooting someone in the face when they had a hard on. I think we're kind of past that we can't talk
Okay,
about.
I wrote a character with a forked penis.
We are both getting kicked out of this. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. You were saying?
I wrote a character with a forked penis. Have you done that? Am I the only one?
No, Revenge has his other
What?
thing.
Wait. No. What did you just say? Wait, can we go? I'm sorry, because I think I heard.
She has a character with a forked penis.
There's two parts.
Here's the thing. I thought that the fucks and the F-bombs were going to be the thing that we had to warn these nice people about. And you wait, what is wrong with you, woman?
That's a question a lot of people have asked a lot of different times.
No idea that this shit was in here. Like, I wouldn't have extrapolated it. So wait, he has a roundabout.
Goes in both ways.
Does he tie a string in it? Get the.
He's just a secondary character, but now you're making me want to make him a full-on hero.
Don't do it on my.
Oh, I think you should.
Well, I mean, this just brings up all kinds of anatomical things. Like, if he sings, does it come together? I mean, how is this like? How does it? I mean, do you get? Oh boy! Oh, Gena, you're a very dangerous woman. You're a very dangerous woman. Oh my God! I had no idea this was in here. I didn't know we were going to go here.
My apologies.
14 minutes long. I think the internet is on fire after this conversation. What was the question? Can you
What's the question?
Well,
by the way, next time Gena Showalter turns around to me and says, I don't know whether I should say this. Usually I'm like, nah, go on. Now I'm going to be like,
Let's take a minute and think.
you are the best person I know, Gena Showalter.
I feel the same way about myself. No, I adore you. You're making me laugh so hard I'm crying.
Oh my God, I have done like shit with other authors.
Gena, speaking of, a lot of questions have just popped up. What book do they need to read about about the fork?
What's the book? I need to know.
It's one of my Alien Hunters books, and I can't remember, so I need to look.
Girlfriend, how do you
You're gonna have to
forget?
post.
Okay, you're gonna have to tell us which one.
Oh yes, I will post it. I will find it and post the forked penis. Naomi, if you're watching, do you know the forked penis book?
She is. She's here. She is here. Okay.
Do you know? Actually, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop.
My humblest apologies.
It does not need to go on.
Okay. What is a question for both of you? What is your favorite book that you have read in your life? Like, or, things.
Oh, I think it's the alien with the fucking bifurcated penis. I gotta go. I don't even know what the name is. That's my favorite book. What is your favorite book?
My favorite book that we've read or that we wrote?
That you've read. That we've read.
Oh my goodness, that's like making me pick between my children. I'm always gonna pick myself. Just kidding, kids, I love you very much.
Just kidding.
Oh, Naomi says it's Enslave Me Sweetly.
Oh, good. Can you enslave someone sweetly with a forked penis?
Obviously.
You need to write this. All right, Gena. I just on behalf of the internet, I would like to formally request and apologize to your publisher for saying this, but please write us the bifurcated penis book. And then I would like
Done.
the Facebook, you have to promise whether we do it like in this kind of webinar thing or whatever, I want to be on the ground floor.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, done. This is happening.
Remember
I'm doing a whole series on it now.
oh my God. No, seriously, Gina, you have to.
I'm gonna call the first one Royally Forked.
Actually, I would have just gone fork and A. Oh my God. You can say, hey, is that a fork in your pants? Or are you just glad to see me?
Just happy to see.
Just stitch it back together.
Oh my God.
How the blood supply works. I mean, anatomically, there's a lot going on.
I'm writing this book specifically for you. I cannot wait.
It will be my claim to fame, like forever, which I will never be able to share with like my
My
dog.
#1 bestseller.
Oh my God, that is the best thing. Gina, you have actually made my entire week.
Oh,
Like,
I'm
I
so
have to
glad.
say, honestly, like whatever. Like I'm in the middle of first pass. I've been under deadline. I've been we took us 36 hours to sign all the virtual signing books, which I am not complaining about. I will do 50 hours for readers.
Yes.
But I just got in this marriage, so I've been a little tired. I am no longer fucking tired after this conversation. I'll tell you that much. All right, my favorite book ever. All right, so what's your favorite book that you've ever read?
Oh, my favorite.
Oh my God, Gina totally broke J.R. Ward. I broke Chris Rice when I suggested when it came to writing shapeshifters, you had to make sure that everyone had the same number of legs or paws, that you couldn't like whatever, and that basically you didn't want someone with a GPS chip in their neck fucking someone who had a driver's license. And I totally broke. That was at Readers on the River. Yeah, but you have officially broken J.R. Ward. This is the best thing ever. This is the best thing that will happen to me in 2021. And I'm bummed because it's only April and I have another like 7 months of like average.
Don't you worry. I'm going to be bringing it. All year long.
You absolutely will. All right. So what's your favorite bestest book ever?
You're going to have to take this one first because my mind is like, so many books I love.
I have to go with a Stephen King book.
Mm-hmm.
It's either F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby, not because it's a cliche, but because his sentence structure and descriptions are so painfully beautiful and make me realize that I'm a fucking loser hack of a writer.
Oh, I know that feeling well.
Bored and like never fucking type anything other than a grocery list again. Or it would have to be.
And even that needs to be double checked by my husband now because I screw that up.
Or it would be Salem's Lot by Stephen King, because Stephen King's probably my favorite author. Mm-hmm. And it's because Salem's Lot got me into loving vampires and vampire stories and horror. So it's not that it's the best book I've ever read, but it's probably the most seminal, the most important book that I wrote, because it actually led me. I would not be writing The Black Dagger Brotherhood if not Salem's Lot by Stephen King. Yeah. But I would say probably my favorite, the best writing I've ever read is The Great Gatsby. But that's just kind of like from a wordsmith point. So how about you?
Well, I'm sorry. But I think the one that's made the biggest impact on my writing career would be Warrior's Woman by Joanna Lindsey. It was the first paranormal that I read. And when I read it, I was like, we can write about we can do this. And that opened up a whole new world for me in terms of my own stories.
My favorite romance novels. Now, okay, I want to stipulate that they are antiquated and they're problematic if you look at them with today's more clear eyes. So I need to acknowledge that. But it was Elizabeth Lowell's medieval series and Elizabeth Lowell's cowboy series. Those books, published again, late 80s, early 90s, just a different world than we're in right now. And so that has to be acknowledged, but I just loved those books. And she only wrote 3 of her medieval romances. And there was Cassandra, I believe the name was Cassandra. She was a a witch that spun sacred thread, and the fact that I will never know, because I knew that she was going to get hooked, she was going to hook up with Eric, who was this knight, and the fact that I will never read their story, I almost wrote their story myself just because I would have loved to see them. So that, yeah.
Okay.
That's good, yeah.
This question is for you, JR.
Oh.
Caitlin Frankfurt. Any teasers for your new series? Can't wait for Claimed.
Oh, so Claimed is about Wolven, which is, and I've been talking about Wolven for the last kind of decade. It's a BDB spinoff. You will see Hex and John Matthew in it.
Yeah.
And it is a main couple, but their story actually takes 3 books to get through. So like usually I do like one couple and some side stories. So this is really about this is really about Daniel Joseph and Lydia Susie and sort of where they go. It takes a couple of books to get them in, and then then it's a whole world thing.
Gena, from Roxanne Smith, if it's forked, does one side grow bigger than the other?
I'm really starting to feel like I should have expounded the scene with the forked penis to really give everybody a visual. In fact,
you got people. Can you use it as a music stand? Can you put like a newspaper?
Can it play music?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
play like a piano.
you use it to hold your book so you can keep reading.
No, he's not a tripod. He's a coffee table. This is the
questions
best
are
thing
just
that
too
ever
good.
happened to me.
And that I got that idea because I was talking to PC Cass and we were talking about snakes with 2 heads. And I said, I'm gonna write a forked penis.
Tell you this forked penis thing. Every time I think we hit the bottom, actually it just goes lower.
It just
Keep digging. Keep digging.
just forks one other way.
Talking about where she got the inspiration, I'm thinking, we don't want to know this. This is not lady.
Here's the question. Does he spoon the heroine?
The fork spoon. Like
the spork. The spork. Yeah.
Never has to worry if he gets takeout. If he doesn't have some, I mean, this is awful. Wow, this is the best thing that's going to happen to me all year long.
I do what I can.
And you deliver. I have to tell you, I never thought that I am always the outlier when it comes to shit like this because I dropped the F-bomb and I got a potty mouth and all this stuff. You actually are, you managed to slap me.
And see, I don't see it for myself because I just feel so normal and natural to want to kill everyone in my books.
Sweetie, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say there's very little, except for how you appear, that is normal about your shit, okay? But I think I could become even closer friends with you because I need to hang out with people like you.
Naomi just said they have forked tongues too.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
Question, what the fuck else is going on in your head that you do not, how,
It's a lot of
sweetie, how do you forget that they don't have other, you figure that
It wasn't the most important feature.
oh my God. Now I'm going to say the test.
all the world gets from this chat is the royally forked. I will consider it a success across all counts.
I love the fact that it makes me wonder what the fuck else is in your head that you can't remember the name of the book. I mean, this is an outlier for most people. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb here and wow, that is the best thing ever. My face hurts from laughing. This is the best.
I know I'm getting so sweaty. I'm about to strip down. That's about to happen.
Please keep your clothes on. Normally, I wouldn't feel compelled to bring that up as an important tip, but I'm thinking, and the worst thing is is I'm completely sober. I don't drink or do drugs. And the reason why I tell people is like, would you want this shit with a beer in her? Like nothing good could happen to that. So,
Oh man,
Oh,
I'm trying
God,
to. I'm
I
trying
just-
to come up with a.
I want to
ending
say I
question,
don't
but
drink or do drugs.
I
I really want to.
no, sweetheart, I think we're good. I think the world, you make me worried that you'd get really bright ideas. I can't decide whether I'd be more frightened about what you would do to your characters or what characteristics your characters would have.
Yeah, I maybe fear both. Just be safe.
God, this has been the best thing I will do for the rest of the
I
year.
have had so much fun.
I think we should just end it there.
I
quite
think we
frankly.
should just end it there before we get kicked out of everything, you know?
I'll just do my blanket apology tour now. I'll start it off.
Oh my God. Oh my God. All right, Gena, next release. I think we should coordinate our releases again. And we
I think they are. I
the
think they are.
blanket apology tour. Do you like, no, I'm serious. I think this would be amazing. Like, I don't travel very well because would you want this on an airplane? But we should do the Gena
I'm here for it.
Showalter and J.R. Ward blanket apology tour.
Yes, please.
Oh my God, we could do like t-shirts. We could offer them to people who
God, I love it. I
Oh,
love it.
they're
And I
really
think we
good.
do. I think your next release is the same day as mine as well.
which one for
Heartless and it's what is it? Naomi, what is it?
She already said Heartless and Claimed, I think, are out on the 29th.
Okay,
Yes.
so we're gonna do the blanket apology tour for that. For our two releases, we're gonna do this all over again.
Yes.
Fucking hysterical. I don't know. See, here's the thing. I don't know how with the forked tongues and the penises and stuff. Like, I don't know how we're gonna beat this because this is really good. But
I'll find a way. I will find, you heard me say there's always a solution. Always.
here's the thing. The fact that this crosses into real life, that you actually changed your son's names on his spelling trophies, like you're gonna
yeah.
take this shit into the real world.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I love it. You know, we should do a crossover, you and I. We should
Yes.
do
That has been a question asked several times. Is
should
would
do
you
that.
two
We
do
should. That would be so much fun.
I don't know what we would do. Like, I wonder what world we would do it in, but that would be some
whatever
funny-
world the fork is? Whatever world that is, that's where you like.
Yeah.
That's what we need to bring it. We need to kind of
Let's just call it.
Yeah.
bring it out.
This-
And you know, that forked penis book published with Pocket. So just throwing that out there.
Oh my God, Gena, if I liked you before, I love you now. I really do. You
Same.
are a wonderful, talented writer who
Thank you.
writes great stories,
And who has a heart of gold?
and you do have a heart. You are a sick bitch with a heart of gold, and I could not respect and love you more.
I feel the same. I absolutely adore you. You are so wonderful. You're just incredible.
So I'm just very grateful, and I really mean it. I want to do the blanket. Let's
Yes.
set it up with our publishers. Let's make it happen, like something
Yes.
like this. And let's fucking do it. And we would like to thank Bree and the Brookline Booksmith.
Honestly, I volunteer as tribute for the apology tour. This has been a blast.
Okay, then I would like to ask the Brookline Booksmith if we're allowed to do the blanket apology tour with you. I know my publicist and our publicist, whatever, but would you be willing to host the blanket apology tour?
I would be honored.
All right, we got it unlocked. We're gonna reconvene. We're gonna do this all over again because this has been on. And Bree, thank you. I just really want to say I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. Truly,
Honestly,
from the bottom of my heart.
Amazing.
From the bottom of my heart, I'm kind of a little sorry. I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna think about being sorry.
No, I'm honestly sorry.
The bottom of your heart or the bottom of the fork?
Thank you both so much. Thank you to everyone in the audience. This was Amazing.
Oh my God,
so much
Epic.
fun.
Yeah.
seriously, thank you so much. And I am really sorry. And at 2 a.m, I'm gonna wake up and be like, oh my God, like I'm gonna get fired. I always worry I'm gonna get fired.
I'll take the heat. I'll do it.
Look, I don't care.
All right,
Well-
you heard it here. Throw Gena under the bus.
Well, thank you, Brookline Booksmith.
Yes,
and
thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you to the readers. Thank you for everyone who supported us.
Thank
and
you
Yes.
so much.
talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys.